Hello everyone, welcome back to AK Coding. In today's lesson, we'll be learning hosting in JavaScript. If you're ready, let's get started. What is hosting? Hosting means JavaScript moves declarations to the top of their scope before the code runs. But the important part is JavaScript only hosts declarations, not initializations. So what does it mean actually? So I'm going to explain with examples how the hosting works and with what it works actually. It affects the variables and function declarations, and it helps to understand the hosting, and it helps to prevent tricky bugs as well. So how actually hosting works in the phase? Hosting works first when you initialize the variable after its creation. JavaScript engine parses the code first in the creation phase, and declarations are registered, not initializations. So let's start with examples. In this example, I'm going to show with variable var. So I'm going to declare one variable, var I is equal to 5. So before that, if I call this variable, or if I try to print out in the console, what do you think it happens? Let's see in the console. As you can see, the variable a, when we call it, it returned undefined, because JavaScript traces the code, and if it were. So, but if we call like that, what happens, you think? We will not assign the value into the variable, and then after the variable, we will just reassign the value, and it also returns undefined, because var is a hosted. So the result is an undefined, not an error. This happens because var is hosted and automatically initialized with undefined during the creation phase. So now let's look at let and constant variables. Let and constant is different story actually. And they are also hosted, but they're not initialized automatically during the creation phase. So they stay in something called the temporal dead zone. We can call also TDZ. So in the temporal dead zone, accessing them before that throws a reference error to us. Let's see a quick example. I will write console.log, and I will declare a variable with let x to 5. And if I try to run it, it gives a reference error, and it's giving and cannot access x before its initialization. Before during the creation phase, it's not possible to initialize it. Due to that, let does not allow to us, and they are in temporal dead zone. Const also works the same as let. So if I write const with r declared 6, and if I try to run, I get the same error 2 times. As you can see here, the x console and the console are as well. So it means that it doesn't print undefined, it throws a reference error. So the engine knows x exists, but it refuses to let you access it before initialization. So the same thing happens with constant, as you can see. Now let's talk about function hoisting. Function declarations are fully hoisted, including their body as well. That means you can do this. Let me show an example. We can call the function first, called grid. Yeah. And then we can declare a function called grid, and we can write a console.log in the string hi. And if I clear it, if I run this, so let me first comment it, and this one as well, clear. So we get high still, because why? Function is full body is hoisted during the creation phase, and initialization also happens. This works because the entire function create is hoisted. But function expressions behave like variables. For example, if I write one function expression with constant, what do you think what happens? So let's write say hi, and let's call it first, and write const say hi is equal to function, and if I write console.log hello, and if I write the output, it gives cannot access say hi before its initialization. So it's giving the same error as constant gave to us, which means it's a reference error because say hi is declared with const and it's in temporal dead zone constant. Due to that, we cannot even access even the function is fully hoisted. But here we are using expression function. Instead of the constant, if we have used variable, which is var, it's possible to access, but we get say hi is not a function. Why? Because variable var is a type error, because say hi is a hoisted and initialized with undefined. JavaScript tries to run the undefined as a function, and this returns to our say hi is not a function. Great. Now the error different you see that. Now let's look at the classic hoisting pitfall using var inside loops. I'm going to declare one loop, which is for loop, but where I'm declaring, I'm going to use var, which is I, and I is equal to 2 and I plus plus. And if I write set timeout as callback function, console.log I 100. If I clear it and if I rerun this, we get might expect to print 1 to 3. However, instead it prints 3, 3, 3. Okay? Because var is function scoped, all 3 callbacks share the same I, and by the time they run it's already 4. Let's remove this, and then we'll get the correct one. As you can see, 3, 100, 2 times. Yeah, because we wrote here inside. Yeah, we can write it here, and we are getting 3, 3, 3. So if you replace var with lat, what do you think what happens? Because of the temporal zone, we get 0, 1, 2. Now it's correct. This is because lat creates a new I for every loop iteration. Here's another example. I'm going to show you to the hoisting, which is a confusion. So I'm going to try to declare first the variable called something. And then I'm going to write console.log again, type of something. And then I will declare with lat this something variable. And what do you think the output will be now? So we get cannot access the something before its initialization. The first time it throws a reference error, but the type of line never runs. Because this line, which is type of something that we are trying to get it, it doesn't, it's not safe, and it does not available in the temporal.zone. And we cannot get any access for that. And here's, I'm going to also show you the demonstration that shows the difference clearly. One example I'm going to show is that console.log, one more time, I'll declare a and b, and I'm going to declare a as a var variable, and I'm going to declare b as a lat with a lat. And if I turn off others, what do you think we will get it? Let's clear it out. And as you can see, we're getting two different. So A and B, A is accessible because A is a hosted with variable var, and B is returning reference error, which cannot access B before its initialization. So that we're getting first undefined, and then for the lat, we're getting reference error. So the key points I'm going to explain: var is actually hoisted and initialized with undefined. Let and const are hoisted but not initialized during the creation phase, and accessing them early triggers the temporal dead zone. And it doesn't allow to us. And function declarations are fully hoisted and we can call anywhere we want. But function expression depend on the variable declaration type. And avoiding var helps you avoid unpredictable hoisted issues. So please try to use by default constant lat when you need reassignment, and avoid var in modern code. And be aware of when your functions or variables are actually initialized, not just declared. If you liked this video, share with your friends, and see you in the next video.